All right, welcome to Dietetic Internship FAQ Part 3. In this tutorial or video, I'm going to go over the DICAS application as well as briefly show you the D&D Digital site. So you're going to want to make or create an application in DICAS if you have not already. You can do that at any time. Even if you're not quite ready to complete an application, it's good to at least start or create a to start a application or profile just to start working on, because this is going to take you a while to get through. There's a lot of information on here. So the sooner you start, the better off you will be and the less stress you will have as you approach the due dates for the different cycles. Okay, so this is your main homepage. Your application status here, application checklist, shows you your little empty squares here or incomplete items. Those ones that are full or have a little orange dot shows you that it's complete. The red square shows you this is required information that you must have completed prior to submitting your application. Okay, you'll notice I started one just to see what you guys see. There's obviously a lot of things that I cannot put on here, but I'm going to walk you through the more important areas where I have the most amount of questions from students to hopefully answer some of your questions. I will say if you run into any issues, they have a wonderful, wonderful help section. They have a contact us where you can actually talk to somebody on the phone and get more information. They actually have a whole instruction section that details out what's required for each of these sections, which is very, very helpful. So know that you have tools available to you in order to answer some of these questions, that you don't have to rely just on me or a friend to help you through it, that they do have some great help information on this website. Okay, this applicant information, let's start at the top. This is pretty basic stuff. I'm not going to go into it because it's your name, your birth date, personal information. Background information is kind of like, were you ever arrested? Did you ever have a DUI? Any of the kind of information. They just want to know background information on you. Okay, match information. It's not going to show anything for me because I don't have a D&D Digital ID, but once you create your D&D Digital account, gosh, that's the word I was looking for. Apparently I'm struggling with the word account today. You're going to list that digital ID here. This is important because it matches your DICAS application to your ranking, right, which we talked about in the second video. So please make sure you can do this the same time you're working on your DICAS application, but obviously this is important to list. If you are applying to programs exclusively to programs which do not use D&D Digital, just check here so it'll allow you to bypass this without putting a number in. However, most programs that are utilizing DICAS also utilize D&D Digital. Okay? All right. Educational information. So that DPD course list form, this is the form that I was referring to earlier that's going to list all of your DPD courses specific to your DPD college, which is ASU. So you can again get this form from me or find it on the 400 Canvas website or the ASU Dietetic.org website, and you'll upload it here. Colleges attended. As a reminder, you will only have one DPD college. Okay, that is Arizona State. You'll list basically the month and the year that you started, and then when your month and year of graduation. Okay, this is where you can go in and edit and include that information. This is the important little button here, your transcript form. So you're going to want to click on this and download the form. It will list the specific PO box for you to send your transcript to. Now, I usually get questions, do I have to send it in hard copy? No. You can request your ASU transcript online. They have a really nice portal for it. You're just going to need to utilize this form to get the address that you need to send that transcript too, okay? They basically have this form available for you in the event that you can't request it online, or there's, you can only request a hard copy. So they have this form available to you to print out and to take to the registrar. I know some students prefer to do it in person in hard copy, and so great, do it that way, download this form, print it out, and take it to the registrar. If you would rather do it all online, just make sure you have this form available to you so you know what address that you need to send your transcript to. Okay, you are not asking ASU to send the transcript to you directly. You need to have that transcript sent to DICUS directly, and DICUS will then upload your transcript into the portal on their end. Okay, I often get questions about that. I've had students make mistakes and have the transcript sent to them, and then they want to know, how do they upload the transcript? Well, they don't. You don't. You have the college send DICUS the transcript directly. Okay? All right. Sessions and coursework. This is where you're entering all of your DPD coursework. You'll notice I have a whole bunch of stuff missing, this is very helpful when you're starting to fill this out so you don't miss anything, okay? But you're going to start with when you started at ASU in your very first DPD courses, okay? That DPD course form is going to help you with putting these in. So, and you're also probably going to want to download an unofficial transcript or access your DARS so you know when you took a class and what grade you got, okay? So you're going to basically start adding a course or add a session, okay? You can add a new session here, which is essentially a new semester. That's what a new session means. A new semester, you'll indicate what year, what semester it was it spring or fall, and then what were you class-wise, freshman, senior, sophomore, whatever. This is usually based on the amount of credit hours you have at that point in time, okay? Then you'll list the course exactly as it's listed on your transcript. So if it's abbreviated, if it's missing some letters, it doesn't matter. You list it exactly as it's listed on your transcript. The subject, it's only going to give you two options, professional or science. So this is where you're going to reference your DPD course sheet to figure out where does that course fall. NTR 445 happens to be a professional course. It's not a science, it's a professional. So that's what you would indicate it as. The actual grade that you received, okay? DICUS figures out this piece of it, that you don't have to put in your DICUS grade or your numeric grade, okay? And then if you need to go back and make changes or you want to delete it, here are your two radio buttons here to make those changes. In adding a course, obviously you add here, or maybe whoops, I screwed up the entire semester. I needed to either delete the whole thing, start over, or I need to go in and edit. Okay. As you'll notice, I know many of you probably have taken classes at a community college, so you list this as your other college. Okay, you'll notice these are completed versus planned or in progress. So if you are currently maybe a senior and you're in your last semester, you're going to have in progress courses listed here that you're currently taking. You'll notice they don't ask for a grade. They just need to know what it is you're taking, where does it fall, what subject does it fall in, and how many credit hours. Okay, so sometimes I do get students that misassign and they don't know, they get to putting the grade in, they're like, well, wait, I'm in the middle of it, but I think I'm getting an A, and so they put an A in there, but it doesn't match their transcript. So that's going to be a red flag to the dietetic internship director, because what you have listed here will not match your transcripts. So you have to make sure you're following your transcript to a T, which is why you'll want to download that as an unofficial copy for reference, okay? Tests. This is only required if it's required by the program you're applying to. The two tests that are the most common are GRE or the TOEFL. If you don't have a required test, you don't have to complete this section. You'll notice when we back out of here, this is one of those that does not have a red square, so it's not a required section. However, you just need to make sure that the program you're applying to, if it is a required section, that you do fill it out. If you miss it, you don't include your GRE or TOEFL score, you're considered an incomplete application and you won't even be considered. So this goes back to reading the directions for that particular program and making sure that you are checking all the boxes that you need to check and submitting all of the required information you need for that particular program. DBD program information, this is my information. You're going to put my first name and last name and email address. I know I have a weird last name, so make sure you spell it correctly in the email address so it gets to me. I've had at least a handful every semester that don't put my email address in correctly, and then I never get their request, and then they panic, wondering why I haven't completed things on their behalf. It's because I never got it. So just make sure you submit the right email address. This is where you're going to request that declaration of intent. So if you have not graduated yet, this is what you're requesting. If you have graduated, that's verification statement is what you will request. Okay. Once you hit save, I will get an email to complete this on your behalf. Okay. All right. The section that's probably going to take you the most time is this required information area. Awards, experience, and volunteer. Okay, so this is essentially everything that you would probably list and more on your resume. You're going to select which activity it is that you're going to note, what honor, sports, certification, what work experience you've had, volunteer, experience for academic credit. So maybe you did an CHS 499 where you were doing some experiential learning and got to work with a mentor, but you got credit for it. You'll want to mention that here. Professional memberships, if you're a member of the academy. Any conferences that you may have attended. So if you ever went to the Food and Nutrition Conference and Expo or FNCE, anything local that you may have attended, a workshop, everything you could possibly think of, you are going to want to list here. And do not list see resume. So if you were to list work, if I selected work and I then listed see resume, then so say this is work and I just say see resume, what's going to happen is the internship director is just going to dismiss you because it shows laziness or lack of detail. You'll notice there's a lot of information on here, and you have 1,500 characters, which is a lot of information that you can expand more than maybe you would have put on a resume, listing everything under the sun maybe that you did at that location. Okay, so this, as you can imagine, takes a while to do. Thus, you need to give yourself enough time to go through every type of experience and award and honor, certification that you have and listed here, okay? Many of you will be ServSafe certified by the time you graduate, so you want to list that. Do you have CPR? Do you have first aid? Maybe you have some other certification. Sometimes I have students, who graduate and come back and they have a DTR. You want to list it here. It's really important to list any kind of, certification or experience that you may have, because this is what also helps you stand out from your GPA, from the other applicants that are there. Okay. I highly recommend you don't click this button because pretty much every internship is going to have some sort of requirement or interest or wanting to know that you've had some sort of experience, okay, or activities. Okay. Personal statement, as I mentioned before, you're going to have one for every application that or every program that you're applying to. You'll want to title them specific to the program, because when you get to program designations, you're going to pick which personal statement you want to attach to each internship application. Okay. You'll notice there's an add new entry, so you can have multiple personal statements Here's where you put your title. Now these are what they call the DICUS questions. Okay, address the following items. When you're reviewing the program requirements, you're going to want to see what they want you to address in your personal statement. They may say, address all of the DICUS questions. So these are the questions you would address. Why do you want to enter the dietetics profession? Discuss experiences that have helped you prepare you for your career. What are your short and long-term goals? What are your strengths and weaknesses? What other information do you consider important? Okay. They may also say, internship programs, address all DICUS questions plus X, Y, and Z. So I know, for instance, Maricopa County, they say address the DICUS questions and also address these questions. And they're typically related to community nutrition or community health, or what are the major community or health problems affecting Arizona, something along those lines, okay? They do that in order to see, did you follow directions? And one of the first things that I know Maricopa does is they pull your personal statement and they highlight the areas where you addressed all of the questions that they required you to address. And if you miss something, then you're automatically in the no pile because you didn't follow directions, okay? That's why it's really important for you to review the program requirements and directions to make sure that when you complete this personal statement, you address all the questions required. Now, I will say this is not a question answer format, meaning you don't just list, number one, why do you want to enter the dietetics profession? And then you give them a paragraph. This is in one long, beautifully written narrative that addresses each of these questions. So don't think this is a Q&A where you can just write question and answer. You need to write this in a nice narrative format that reads like a story about you, which is why this is so challenging to write. Okay, so you're going to have one of these for each of the programs that you are applying to. Okay. All right, resume. You only need to upload one resume, so not one per program. You'll obviously have this in a Word or a PDF doc that you'll upload, and you're going to upload it to this section here. Reference section, this is where you're adding your references, their information, okay? You're giving DICUS permission to contact them via email. You're giving permission for them to contact the reference to verify information you provided is correct. And then this is where you're putting their information and email address. Please note that once you fill this out and you hit save, the system automatically then sends this individual that you've identified as your reference an email. If you have not asked this individual yet or have not addressed yet if they would be a reference for you, you're just assuming and hoping that they'll be a reference for you when you hit save, they're going to get this email and not understand or not know why they received it. It's kind of puts the reference person in an awkward situation, like, oh, I guess they wanted a reference from me, but they never actually asked me either via email or in person. So the best route and the most professional route to go is you're going to want to ask your reference or your individual who you want to be a reference for you prior to completing this section. Now you can ask them via email, you can ask them in person, but the conversation should happen prior to you completing this section in the application, okay? I've had it happen to me a few times, and it's a bit awkward that I get these notifications from DICUS saying, so-and-so would like you to complete a reference on their behalf. And then it's 2 to maybe a week later that I actually get the request from the student to complete the reference, okay? So just make sure you ask first before you assume that they will be a reference for you. Okay. Application certification is essentially a series of check boxes to make sure that certifying that everything you have in this application is truthful and there's no dishonesty to your knowledge. Okay. Towards the end, you're doing program designations. So this is where you're indicating or telling DICUS where you want your application sent. So you're going to click Add a New Entry. I'm going to pull this down. And then you're going to search for your internship that you want to apply to. So let's select Arizona. And right now, all that's available at this point in time when I'm recording this is ASU's MSDI. Okay. You're going to click, okay, yeah, this is the one I want. I'm going to click Apply. And you'll notice here, it's going to say, which personal statement do you want? Granted, I only have one in the system, so it's only giving me my one option. But in reality, when you do this, and if you're applying to more than one program, you'll have multiple ones to choose from. So that's why you want to title them so you know which one to pick, the right one to pick. You'll click on, oh, that's the letter that I want, and then you would hit Save. Okay, I'm just going to close for now. But you'll do that for every program that you want to apply to. Actually, I'm going to do this again to show you what it looks like once you, helps if I do it correctly. I always hit close by accident and it's search. Okay, apply, I'm going to choose the MSDI and I'm going to hit save. Okay, now it's showing you have a pending designation. It's saying your personal statement, that's the one you're using. This is where I have a lot of students panic and forget to add references. They go and they're like, okay, I'm ready to rock. I got everything on here. And I want to just submit it, but why can't I submit it yet? Well, because you haven't added references. Okay, so you want to add references. I'm going to make this screen a little bit bigger. Now you'll notice, because I don't have any references, I don't have anybody to enter here. But on your end, once you add your references, you'll have a series of names, right? You're going to select the individuals that you want to be the references for this particular application, okay? This means you can have or ask maybe more than 3 individuals because maybe you have, for instance, ASU, Dr. Mayo Kreiser, cannot write a letter for ASU's internship because she's the assistant director. But Dr. Mayo Kreiser does provide letters to other programs. So maybe you're applying to Maricopa or maybe a different program out of state. So you could ask Dr. Mayo Kreiser to write you a letter, but you would not select her name for the ASU internship or program designation, okay? You would select 3 others and not include hers. So it's not unusual to have more than 3 listed here, but you're going to only be able to select 3 for this particular application, okay? Once you add your 3 references, then you're going to have a button that will indicate that you're ready to roll, your designations are good. And it's going to give you your fee, your total fee that you need. Okay, then you're going to go back and then you're going to e-submit. Okay, you'll notice here on the status side that there are a few things that you've requested or asked for, such as your transcripts and your references, that's going to note if they were complete or not complete. Okay, you can still submit your application if your transcripts have not yet been received, as long as you've requested them by before the deadline, so before February 15th or September 25th. You can still submit your application on time even if they haven't been received. DICUS understands and recognizes that not all university and college systems are speedy or quick about providing transcripts in a timely manner. So as long as you've requested them, you can go ahead and submit your application on time. Okay. Program designations. This basically was back to this section. Did you make sure that you have your references added, your right letter of reference, or sorry, not only your letter of references are added, but your personal statement added. So it's noting if it was, you'll note here I have one that's not complete. Okay, so you need to go back and find out what you're missing on them. References, you'll notice it'll tell you how many references are complete or incomplete. This section you can also, if you have some incomplete references, you can still submit on time. DICUS also understands that sometimes your references might be slow or not understand the deadline, and so you can still submit your application on time. Payments and DPD, these are both important. Both have to be completed before you can e-submit, okay? So you need to pay for it, which you'll do when you e-submit, and excuse me, and the DPD, that's my information, meaning your verification statement or your declaration of intent, if it's been completed or not, okay? One of the nice new things is you can follow the status of your application on your smartphone. So they have this nice QR code that you can download and have the mobile, the app on your phone, okay? Again, they have some nice contact information and instructions if you need further assistance. Last, D&D Digital. So I just did a Google search for D&D Digital. It comes up with dnddigital.com. You will want to create an application. So register online. They make you pay. I don't have an actual portal or account at this point because you do have to pay as soon as you register. And so I don't have one, but you'll notice it'll even tell you like when you can actually get on. So registration for spring of 22, when I'm doing this video, it'll actually open on December 1st. So even at this point in time, if I wanted to go in and start, adding my matches in, I could not do that because the portal's not open yet. Okay. But D&D Digital is very helpful because it does list all of the program timelines for all of the different schedules or rounds. So fall of 21 is listed, spring of 22 is listed right now, and then they also have future matching dates into the future if you want to know. Maybe you're not going to graduate until 23, you want to look at, or maybe fall of 22, you want to look at what those dates are, they will have them listed here. Okay. They also do list their instructions and all the different programs, so they do have procedures, have a nice Q&A, a matching overview, so this will be all helpful information for you as you move forward, okay? And then these timelines are helpful. They're the same that are listed here. They're just different buttons that they have listed for you to be aware of. So for instance, spring of 21 timeline, what's applicable for you guys is the applicants, okay? The rest of these are timelines for the internship directors and what they would need to follow. Okay, so this is helpful for you. So you know kind of the series of events of what can occur.